Hi, I'm the Recruiting Maven and welcome back to my channel. So continuing the dialogue, just to update some of you, I created this channel for you. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. Most people are not aware of it. Most people are not having conversations with one another about it. I don't really see that in the news unless it is making some kind of news about AI or the latest technology for, self-driven cars or things along those lines. But most people, when I go to network or I'm on the phone with a friend and I sort of mention it, most people just look at me in puzzlement. So I wanted to continue the dialogue with you and kind of give you a little bit of an idea as to, the changes that are up and coming. Now, the World Economic Forum back in January of 2017 was discussing the fact that they're looking at a 9% job displacement within the next 3 to 5 years. Now, some thought leaders said, no, it's more along the lines of 47%. So there's a huge disparity as to what the job losses are going to be for you and I include myself in that mix. With that said, it's hard to predict the unknown, which is really what essentially they were saying, because there's such a huge disparity in those numbers, whether it's 9%, whether it's 47%, but essentially it's hard to predict the future. AI has grown exponentially in a way that, they thought maybe in 10 years from now we would be where we are actually today. So within a 12-month period, we've grown to such a degree that again, it's hard to predict the future. So kind of just giving you a general conversation to tee this vlog off, and that is the fourth industrial revolution really essentially means it's about connectivity. So machines talking to one another. As an example, and it's a very simple example that you can relate to. You download an app on your phone and you open up your garage door before you get home. So it's an easy entryway into your, into your garage. Well, that's great. But again, you see more of these technologies being used broad-based. So now you can turn on and off your lights when you're away from home. You can, on a manufacturing floor, we've seen, and we're very used to seeing those very large robotic arms building our cars. And we often think, every day as an everyday person, I think, well, that's just great, fantastic, and then I don't really think about it anymore. Where we think that's big, industry, they have the money, the wherewithal to actually have that technology and employ that. Where I have actually been on the manufacturing floor, some local companies up in LA who are, anywhere between 100 to 300 employees, and they're saying, look, in order to stay competitive, we need to really bring about new technology to help us stay competitive and help us stay in business. And so, something that may seem to you, oh, it's off in the long distance, is now really already here. And a lot of those companies are already preparing to make those transitions in their company and on their manufacturing floor. So what do you do with those people who are now displaced? And therefore, I created this video vlog specifically to address that, to bring you solutions, to present to you some very engaging conversations with people who have either been physically challenged, and having to create their own careers based on their physical challenges, or some of them have, unfortunately belong to the wrong generation and are no longer marketable. And although, a good friend of mine is of a different generation, I appreciated her and have had some conversation as how she's rebranded herself. She has a degree from Vanderbilt, has been just at the top of her game, and in the last 10 years have seen, very difficult, been in a difficult position to find a job. So what she has done to rebrand and recreate herself. So she's, still being able to bring money home and make money and find something that's fun, that's pleasurable for her to do, and give back to the community as well. And so wanted to bring some of those stories to you. With that said, will a robot take over your job? Absolutely, without a question. It's not an if, it's more of a when. It's hard to imagine that. I mean, let's just think about this, because we often, we watch the Terminator, we watch Star Wars, we watch all these, the great sci-fi channel movies that we all watch, and that's fabulous. I did watch Humans. I stopped watching; it was a little bit too real for me. So I think it was too close to home, especially being in the IT world as a recruiter, not as a software professional. And that's not my forte. I'm not a data scientist. That's not my background. Again, my background is strictly recruitment. But again, it's just engaging you in that conversation of, have you thought about these things? Have you, it's one thing to look at a tweet and have that kind of engagement, but what are you really doing to move forward? So bringing that more in-depth conversations to you in the next video, and I look forward to seeing you. Please subscribe and hit that little bell for notifications, and any comments and suggestions. Again, this is one in a very large series of conversations that I would like to have with you, and so engagement is just something that I am very, very much wanting to have with you. Thank you for your time.